Good evening. This is Passionate Bliss, and I wanted to come and make a quick follow-up video to my Kevin Samuels video and to my why I dislike the term high value man or woman video that I made. I wanted to do a follow-up because in my video, I never stated what my opinion was about Kevin Samuels or his platform. And because I didn't do that, people came into my comments addressing me as if I felt a certain way, assuming that, I felt a certain way, making comments like women like you and women like you always think, when I had never said what I thought. I asked questions. I gave a couple of definitions. I played Kevin Samuels talking, and then I said, what do you think? Matter of fact, I said, I don't know. What do you think? I never stated how I felt, but because I didn't, I guess they came and assumed that I felt a certain way. So I wanted to tell you what I actually think. This is what I think about Kevin Samuels, his platform, and this is the issue that I have personally. These are my opinions. I feel like when I came to YouTube 2 years ago, I didn't know, but I eventually came to discover that there's a group of men on here who are called the Manosphere. These are a bunch of black men who seem to be bitter, angry, and hateful, and it's all directed towards black women. They blame black women for everything that's gone wrong in their lives, for not succeeding, for not getting promotions, for not, being financially well off, for bringing them down, obstructing them, blocking them. These are things I've heard them say. They feel that way about black women, and they're in a room full of men saying, yeah, that's right. And I even heard one say on a panel that I was on, 80% of black women do not want black men, so you need to give up on them. And I was like, what are you saying? And so they're like Trump supporters, except they're black and they're incels. They don't have black women. Black women reject them, but they still desire black women. And as a result, because of their rejection, they hate them and they blame them for everything. And they don't want to reconcile. They don't want to be in loving relationships with us. They want to destroy us. They want to tear us down. They want to humiliate and degrade us. They hate us. Okay, that's the manosphere. And Kevin Samuels has risen up to the top of that cesspool and has become their mascot. Now, they like him because he's well-spoken, because he is well-dressed, he's neat, he's relatively attractive, and he's really clean-cut. He looks like a professional, even though he isn't. And so because he's all of those things, they rally around him. Now, in a 6 or 7 month period, he went from having 80,000 followers to 440,000 followers. That doesn't happen without some kind of manipulation. It just doesn't. Now, as to what that manipulation is, that's up to you. Who you think is backing him, whose agenda does it serve to pit black men and black women against each other, that's up for you to determine. But I definitely believe that somebody's backing him and there's some manipulation going on. Okay? That's my personal opinion of him, who he is and what he's doing here. Now, this is my issue with him. These are my issues with his platform because I don't actually know him. Nobody does. One of the things that I do not like about him, first and foremost, is his abuse of black women. Black women call into his show, and he asks them their stats like, how old are you? How much do you weigh? Do you have any kids? Have you ever been married before? Things like that. And based on that data, he assesses their value. He tells them that they have no value to these high value men, or he tells them, join my group if they have high value men. If they have high value men desirability. And what he's using to evaluate them, he goes by their age, their weight, their dress size, whether they have children or not, and whether they've been divorced or not before. Okay. And the high value man, all he has to do is earn 6 figures and be influential. Now the women, they have to be fit. The man can be fat as hell because 70% of black men are overweight. Okay. I guess the man can be old as hell, and he's fine. I guess he can have, a pack full of baby's kids running around, and that's okay because he's not judged on that. And I guess he can, be married and divorced 4 or 5 times, like Kevin himself is divorced twice and still not married. But he's promising to hook these people up, okay, and get them married, something he can't do for himself. So, it's his the abuse, the disrespect, the contempt he shows for women based on their appearance, the outside that he has told them. And these women are often not disrespectful to him. They're often very respectful. He interrupts them. He curses them out. He hangs up the phone on them. He plays sound effects while they're speaking. He plays a slapping sound. And to me, along with his speech, that's an indication of abusiveness. If a man will abuse you Physically, he will abuse you verbally first. You can ask any abuse victim, and almost all of them will tell you that the abuse was verbal first. If he will abuse you verbally, he will abuse you physically, in my opinion. Okay. Number two, what I don't like about Kevin is his misuse of data or his sketchy sources of data. The misuse of data. This is an example of what he does. He'll say, high value black men are not marrying black women because they've gotten fat. Men don't want a fat woman. He'll say, and then he'll say 80% of black women are overweight, which is true. But that doesn't mean that that's not why they're being married. He's never presented. What he would need to convince me that that's the reason is I would need to see some data from a reputable source saying that, you know, at least 51% of black men aged 30 to 40 said, or 30 to 50 said, we're not marrying black women because they're fat. That's what I would need. He's never provided that. I would need to have data showing that at least 51% of black men 30 to 50 said, you know, or I need a stat that says at least 51% of black women were shown to be overweight when they got married, or they were at the correct BMI when they got married. I don't know of any data recording your weight at the time you were married, because I feel like some big girls are getting married out here. I know they are. I've been to their weddings, okay? And so, you know, and I haven't seen that all the weddings are having slender women with these wealthy men, okay? I haven't seen that. Once that data is recorded and presented to me and I can verify the source, then I'll accept it. But he did one time cite a source that said 85% of men prefer women of a slender build, okay? What's the source? He never said. So I went and looked on my own online to see, and I did find one source, but I can't say that it was a reputable source. I had never heard of that institution before that had done the data, and it didn't state who it was they surveyed. Was it a bunch of 18-year-olds? Okay, saying, yeah, we want slender build women. I don't care what they want. You know, was it a bunch of white men? You know, and how old were the men? Did you go to Congress and survey the senators? Do I care what a bunch of 75-year-old white men who are half dead say they want in a woman? No, I don't. Where did you go to get that group that you surveyed? Did you go to Arizona State, you know, where less than 3% of the population is black? Do I care what a bunch of white people in Arizona think about my desirability level? No, I don't. So I do need to know who was in that survey, how old they were, and where you did the survey from. Now, if you told me you got a survey that was done by Morehouse and they surveyed the city of Atlanta, Georgia, and they surveyed men who were 35 to 50, which is the age you are typically when you start earning six figures, okay? Is that who you surveyed? And 51% at least said we're not marrying black women because they're fat. Okay, if you can show me that data, then I might believe you. But the thing is that his data is sketchy. I don't know who did it. Could have been me and my brother in the backyard. I don't have a brother, by the way. But it could have been us in the backyard. 4 of his friends. You know, 3 out of 4 said, yeah, we want him slender. I mean, anybody could put anything on the internet. So I need credible data. It needs to be relevant data, and I need to be able to verify it. He doesn't do that, okay? Most professionals do, which is why I'm getting to my 4th issue that I have with him, okay? Lack of credentials. I can't find any evidence anywhere that Kevin Samuels even graduated from college, okay? All I know about him is that he is a image consultant, and now he's become a matchmaker. Based on what credentials? From what I can tell, none. Somebody online said that they were his frat brother, so I'm assuming that he attended a college and joined and pledged to a fraternity, but that doesn't mean he graduated. I've not seen anybody state his credentials. What is his degree in? Okay, did he at least get a certificate in something? Is he a certified life coach? I saw somebody call him a life coach. Is he certified in that? I haven't heard him say that. I haven't heard any of his followers say that. And I've asked them repeatedly, what are his credentials? You know, does he have any type of license? Is he licensed to do anything? Why does he have this authority to tell people you have no hope? Okay, you're going to die alone. This is what he says to women. Matter of fact, I'll show you.
You can't handle a snowflake. They don't want mid-30-year-old baby mamas. Women like you die alone. Straight up. But if your ass worked at the post office, you would not think so highly of your opportunities. I get tired of you broads telling me I'm being mean because you cannot handle the goddamn truth. Get the fuck out of my phone. Tired of y'all doing this shit. You sat here and wasted my time for this. Seriously. Get off my phone, baby. Sociopaths are out there. You a baby mama with 2 kids by 2 different Negroes. You don't even have the guts enough to put them on child support. That bitch was crazy. Understand something? You have no options. You're a whole fucking wreck, man. I swear to God. Sound like you smoke about 10 packs of cigarettes a week. That's what I mean. Ooh, that's so sexy. Let me help you get back to reality. No, you don't have any options. Man, get out of here with this bullshit.
Okay. That's who Kevin Samuels is. And the thing is that his followers don't fact check him. Okay. They accept everything he says, including the fact that he's authorized to do this, because he's sitting in a chair behind a microphone and a desk, and he's got on a suit, and the room is kind of cluttered, and he's got candles going, and he's waving his hands and speaking with authority and, doing all this number, while he's listening, and he's presenting himself as if he's some sort of professional, and he is not. He is not professionally qualified to give the advice he's giving. This is how I know. He advised a woman who said she had been abused by her husband, okay, and that she left him, and she had these 2 kids, and he told her that high value men would not want her. She needs to go back to her husband, beg his forgiveness, and ask him to take her back. 3 women die every day from domestic violence. And Kevin Samuels sent a woman back to an abuser if she follows his advice. So, and I feel like the reason he did it is because he's not qualified to give the advice he's giving. No licensed professional, no certified, life coach or relationship coach would ever tell an abused woman to go back to her abuser. No knowledge about whether he got treatment. No knowledge about whether he took any type of counseling. No knowledge about what the abuse was. How do we know he hasn't fractured her bones and put her in the hospital before? He doesn't. He didn't ask. And he sent her back because abuse never gets better. It always gets worse unless they're treated. Intensive therapy, He could have very well sent that woman to her death. So that's why I say he's dangerous. And that's why I say that, he's not qualified to give the advice he's giving. Nobody trained would do that or ever say that. He's also told women that if you want these high value men to stick around, you should be having sex with them by the 3rd date. The 3rd date, that man is still a stranger. You don't know anything about him, and he's telling you to lie down with this man and have sex with him. That is high risk sexual behavior. No trained professional would advise you to do that. He's dangerous. That is high risk behavior, not just for, unwanted pregnancy, not just for STDs, but quite a few other things you're at risk for by having high risk sexual behavior. And this is the advice he gives to them. So I feel like he's dangerous. He's definitely unhealthy. And these women who call him are very vulnerable, very impressionable, because he tells you you're not desirable if you're over the age of 25, because a high risk pregnancy begins at the age of 35. So if you're under the age of 25, you're not desirable to a high value man and his 6 figures. Okay. So that's my issue with him. Most of these women that call in, they need a therapist, they need a hug, and they need their daddy. Okay. But they're calling in like Kevin is going to be the one to save them. These 6-figure men are going to be the one to save him, when by his own life, he's divorced twice. 2 women left him. So his 6 figures was not enough to get them to stay. So why the men would follow him, I don't know. 6 figures isn't what is going to get you a great girl or even keep her if you get her, especially if you haven't worked on yourself. If your attitude is hateful and you're ugly and you speak the way Kevin speaks, she's not going to stay. She's not going to stay, even if you do lure her in with the money, And the thing is that these guys, they change up once they get you in there. They start to give you less money till you need to get a job and stuff like that. And so now you got a nasty man, and he's, he don't like what you say, he don't like what you do. He's cursing you out, talking to you like a dog. Then he takes the credit card away. That's why they left. Have you seen how Kevin speaks? I already know why those women left. 2 women ran from him. He said they divorced him. He didn't divorce them. They divorced him, So that's what I think about him. That's what I think about his platform. And that's what I think about the manosphere. However, I have the utmost respect for Black men. Okay. I respect all Black men who are working hard. I don't believe that 6 figures determines your value. 6 figures does not make you a high value man, because Kevin Samuels himself, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, is a low value man, Most of his followers are low value men. You can look at their text, their comments. I've had him tell me, get my old ass on. I've had him tell me, what have they told me? Go buy a dog because you're gonna die alone. Oh, you're definitely fat, they've said. What have they said? And the thing is that these are the way they speak. These are not high value men. It's reform school gutter talk. This is low value gutter talk. The way they talk, and those were the nice ones that I said. Those were the nice ones that I said. But these are they're low value. Their mentality, you can tell that these aren't six-figure men, and they'll never be six-figure men. You can tell by the mentality, the way they type. And the thing is that when I engage them about those stats, almost all of them have had to backtrack on those stats. I was like, okay, where'd you get that percentage from? Okay, hold on, I'm gonna go fact check it. When I fact check it, it's not true. That is not true. That data is false. Okay, you're giving false data. They back up, well, you know that a lot of women do. Now I can deal with a lot of women. This is the thing. Kevin, when he speaks in absolutes. He speaks in totality. He tells them they don't want you. The men you want don't want you. And there's things that he can't say that. All Kevin can say is, I don't want you. You're not my type. My 20 friends that I hang out with, they said they don't want you either. You're not their type. You can speak for you and the people you have met. Okay, you can't speak for most men. You can't speak for most black men. You can't speak for most high value men. Because in order for you to say that that's what these men want, because you don't say most, he says the majority, or even most. Both of those you can't use, because in order for you to say most or the majority, and I've said this before in another video, you have to know them all, and you have to have surveyed them all, and they have to all, at least 51% has to say, yes, Kevin is right. I don't marry black women because they're fat. I don't marry black women because they got kids. I don't marry black women because, they're not agreeable. Where is the data that supports that? Because that's what his platform says. You're not high value unless you're of that weight when you're a woman. Okay? But there's no data to support that. And so, that's my issue with him. He presumes to speak for them all when he doesn't know them all. Okay? He doesn't know most of them. He doesn't know the majority of them. Because even if, let's say, Kevin Samuels has counseled 1,000 men a year for 20 years, that means he knows 20,000 men, and all of them said, we don't like black women because they're fat, they're not agreeable, and they got kids and they're baby mamas. There's no data. He didn't even say, I surveyed the men I knew, and that's what they all said. That might be some data that I'll be like, okay. If he said, even if he was saying a lot, if he was saying many, if he was saying quite a few, if he was saying all the ones I know, I wouldn't have a problem with him. Because if that's good enough for somebody else to convince them, then I guess it is. But the thing is that he speaks in totalities. He's speaking for the total. He speaks in absolutes. They don't want. He's not saying this is my opinion. This is what I think. This is what I heard. This is what they told me. He's saying they don't. They told me. I know. I'm telling you. You're going to die alone, get a dog. That's what he says. He speaks in ugly absolutes when he's not qualified to do it. He can't prove it statistically. And, and the way he says it, who would want to hear it? Who would want to hear it? So those are my issues with Kevin Samuels. And that's the last word I'm going to speak on him. That's what I think about his movement. And that's what I think about the people who follow his movement. The women need help, and the men, they're not high value. He's not high value. Look at the way he talks. It's not high value. It's very low value. Low value speech, reform school, juvenile, gutter. That's how he speaks. People who follow him, that's what they speak. And they can never support their stats. They can never justify their stats. Never. And I'm telling you this, I've spoken to quite a few of his followers now at this point. And if I engage them over the stats that they're quoting, they can't support them. They can't back them up. There's no source, or the source isn't reputable. Or it's the source I can't verify. Every time. Every time. Okay? So, that's that on that. That's how I think about Kevin. But Lord knows I love black men. We got the best men. Of all the races, we got the best men. I understand why the white women, the Spanish women, all these women are chasing them, because we got the best men. Absolutely. Kevin Samuels isn't one of them, from what I can tell. His followers aren't one of them, from what I can tell. you know. But yeah, we got the best men. I have nothing but the utmost love and respect for black men, always. That's a recurrent theme on my channel. I want us to be reconnected. I want us to be reconciled. That's the purpose of my channel, to reconcile us together, to start a dialogue that's going to bring us back together, because we're not together. Not with 72% of our children are being raised in a single parent home. We're not together. And we need to come back together. But Kevin Samuels is only going to divide us. Okay. He's going to tell you all you need is money, when the money hasn't worked for him. You know, you have to work on who you are, how you are. When I looked up what do most women want from a relationship, the answer was kindness. Number 2 was respect. Okay. Number 3 was companionship. Okay. Communication. All of which Kevin is failing in. When Kevin speaks, there's no kindness in it. Okay. There's no respect in it. That's what they asked for in number 2. You know, companionship. Who wants to be a companion of a nasty man? Okay. Communication. You know, who wants to be, you know, talk to him? He's calling you snowflake. He's calling you a bitch. He's calling you crazy. He's calling you, you know, sociopath. Calling you a broad. You know, you want to be his companion? 2 women said no, they don't. They said, never mind. No, thank you. You know, so that's that on that. And with that being said, y'all have sweet dreams. Wake to find them all real.